Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today is Tuesday, June 24th, 2025, back with another episode. Thank y'all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And I've touched on this before, and I will continue to touch on this topic, this issue. I would call it an emergency. I would call it a public service announcement. It needs to be a consistent warning. It needs to be constantly brought to your attention. Because as we go on our daily lives, our daily grinds, focusing on our issues that we're dealing with every day, each individual person has their own issues that they deal with. We may find ourselves slacking, letting our guard down, not being as focused on this major issue as we should. So I feel the need to constantly remind you of this phenomenon, if you will call it that. But in a negative way, it's not a good one. It's not a good phenomenon. It's not a positive one. And whether you like it or not, whether you want to hear it or not, whether you want to just hear something positive all the time, you know what I'm saying? I ain't got nothing to do with that. That ain't what I ain't got time for that. But as I observe what I'm observing, what's being put right in front of me, what I'm constantly seeing, even though I ain't looking for it, I'm not going out to look for these things, for this stuff, for this information. But it's constantly I'm being shown this. And I feel it's my responsibility to spread it, to make it known. Because just like me, I know a lot of y'all have your own problems going on in your life. Everybody do. That's life. You got problems, I got problems, ain't nothing special about that. But what seems to be nowadays is that the problems are piling on, are piling up for many people, or what I say the majority of people, are dealing with massive problems all at once. I remember coming up all my life having problems, but it was like one problem here, you might solve it. It might be a break in between before the next problem comes. Problems have always arisen in everybody's lives. But maybe it's just me, but it seemed like there was a time, even my circumstance, my environment where I came from, there was a break between problems to give you time to reset your mind before you have to jump right in and deal with another problem. But it seems like nowadays, as it looks like, feels like time has sped up for some reason. We already at the end of June, for to be July. We just started this year. It's about to be over. So it seems like time has sped up, and it also seems like the problems have drastically increased for each individual person. And as we know, or you should know, every person don't have the same problem-solving ability. Everybody don't have the same ability to cope with stress, how to relieve stress, pressure. You may be got your system down to where when problems arrive, pressure, stress, you know how to decompress. You know how to go to the gym. You know how to go for a walk. You know how to go out and watch nature. You know how you figured out your little routine of what you do to get that pressure up off of you so you don't explode. Well, I'm here to tell you the majority of people don't know how to do that. And I'm here to tell you that the majority of people are under so much pressure at the same time that I see and believe that the majority of people are going insane or have gone insane. This world, the people are insane. And I believe it comes from the inability to deal with the problems that the world is throwing at us right now. As I turn on the news, which before I started doing this content creation, I didn't watch the news. Because contrary to what y'all believe, some of y'all, I don't like bad news. I don't like doom and gloom. I don't want to hear that shit all goddamn day long. But as a content creator, somebody had that talks about what's going on in the world, not just loving hip hop Atlanta, not the game 7 of the NBA Finals, but as someone I feel is necessary, for some reason this was the way I'm being drawn, to talk about real life issues, what's going on in real life, how to help people in their real life, not in some fluff, made up reality. I'm not fake, putting on an image, a persona. There's a lot of YouTubers that y'all might watch, just like TV shows and reality shows. For a lot of people on YouTube, it's a reality show. That's not really who they are. They're not being truthful with you. They're running game. And I can't do that. That's why you don't see me collabing and reaching out and doing, how you see some other channels do with some of the bigger YouTubers. They link up and they make videos together, and I done had them reach out to me, and I don't trust y'all. I don't want to get involved with all, that. Now, if you want to collab with me and want to interview me or whatever, reach out to me. And then I'll check you out to see if I'm feeling your vibe. I'm not saying I'm against collabing with people, but I got to feel your vibe. I don't like fake people around me and insane people like what I'm talking about now. So I'm willing to collab and interview whatever you want to do with me, but I got to check you out, though, see if you're on, because Philip ain't never heard of him. Come watch your content, see if you're on that bullshit. If you faking, lying, because I'm good at discernment. I can tell if you for real if you on that whole shit. I ain't with it. But the world, which is us, the people, the world is the people, not the planet. People are gone insane from the inability, because we're going through a lot of shit. Everybody. You may be going through problems, I'm talking about that's 30 feet deep. And you feel like, damn, ain't nobody going through what I'm going through. And then you turn on the TV, turn on the news, and find out that folks going through 10 times worse than what you going through. And you thought you were going through pure hell. You thought you wasn't going to make it. You trying to figure out how many more days you got left on this planet. And you thought it was just total catastrophe for you. And then you hear about what somebody else going through and we're like, God damn, I thought I was going through something. That's why people are going insane. You may have just lost everything in a natural disaster, a house fire. You lost your job, whatever. Your house just got foreclosed on, your car just got repossessed, you lost your mom like me, whatever. And you think, man, I'm just going through so much bullshit, how am I going to take it? You feel like you about to snap, but some kind of way you hold on. But you feel like you just going through way more than the average person can handle, and then you turn on the TV and realize, God damn, this man just underlined his grandmama. Yeah, I didn't just make that up. I wasn't just hypothetically speaking. I turned on the TV and a young man just unalived his grandmother. People not are going, people have gone insane. Pressure, problems, trouble, trials, tribulations ain't nothing new in this world. But nowadays, they have compiled on people. And then we have a different type of people nowadays. We don't have the greatest generation people. We don't have the World War II people. We don't have the old school soldiers that's used to dealing with conflict, that's used to struggling, that's used to problems and whatever. Now we have all these problems piled up on top of people that are entitled. Now we got all these problems piled up on top of people that haven't been taught how to provide for themselves. Now we got all these problems piled up on top of people that was raised by single moms, men or women. Now we got all these problems piled up on top of people, generations of people that came up without a father. Now we got all these problems piled up on top of people that wasn't taught how to deal with their anger, wasn't taught how to deal with pressure, wasn't taught how to not give up, wasn't taught how to not harm others because you're going through something. So now we got what we call YNs and the young girls are so violent. The young men are so violent and they just unalive you for any and everything. They snap now when they're unalive their own parents, their own siblings. I'm seeing all this unaliving brothers, sisters, grandma, father, mother, brother. Where'd it come from? I still say the majority of the problems and the ill of our society come from broken homes. Not having a strong father, husband, strong woman, mother, wife in the same household working together to raise the children. So now we got children growing up taking instructions from other uninformed people, giving them uninformed information about how to deal with problems, how to treat women, how to treat men, how to handle life, what you do when you get your back against the wall, what you do when you're broke. We getting children growing up getting the wrong information about how to handle those situations when we once had mothers and fathers teaching their children how to handle these problems. I grew up getting information from a mother and a father until I got older. And then I took to the streets. But I still had the other foundation from my mother and father instilled in me to where when I did hit the streets, I was able to finally come back out of them streets. I was raised up in the way that a child should go, and then if he go astray, he'll come back. Y'all remember that saying? So that's what happened with me. But the majority of these people nowadays ain't even getting raised up in the way they should go. From the day they was born, they was taught bullshit. Whether they turn on this thing here you're listening to me on, you turn on the TV, the computer, whatever, they've been getting bullshit from the time they was born. So now when the problems arise that used to hit us when we was growing up and the generations before us, listen, right now, the black community, we're losing it. We're unaliving each other at an alarming rapid pace. And you can't blame, we would say we're called the poverty and racism and discriminate. No. We were slaves in this son bitch. You don't get no more discrimination and racism than that. And we weren't unaliving each other like this. They just abruptly freed us from slavery and just said, you're free, bye, go, fend for yourself in the same land that enslaved you. Now go out here and try to make it in the same land where everything is against you. That's where black people come from in America, what we had to deal with. So it don't get more discrimination than that, more oppression than that, more racism than that, what our ancestors went through, and they weren't unaliving each other the way we are now. Because unlike back then, we don't have, because back then they had mother, father, family. Even though we were oppressed, segregation, Jim Crow, all that, we still had mother, father, family, husband, wife, same house. So you didn't have this situation in the black community like you do now. Because those black people back then had mother, father, husband, wife, family to teach them how to deal with conflict because they had dealt with conflict. The parents were former slaves. The parents dealt with Jim Crow. The parents dealt with segregation. They know how to deal with conflict, and they pass it on to their children on how to deal with this. Well, this generation and the past few generations don't have that. So now they're going insane with the problems of the world pile on them. So y'all be careful out here dealing with people. And you also be careful dealing with yourself. Because the same way somebody else can hurt you because they're going insane, you can hurt you because you going insane, and you might not even know it. So watch yourself just as much as you watch other people. Protect you from you just as much as you protect yourself from other people. Because you are usually nowadays your biggest enemy. So now you got to watch you and them. And the cops. The world has gone insane. You need to know that. You need to understand that. You need to be on guard. I don't care if you don't like me. I don't care if you try to hear what I'm talking about, but you won't leave, so you're here for a reason. I call it how I see it. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Protect yourself from others. Protect yourself from yourself. Because we are in some trying times. And it's only getting worse. And you're going to have more and more people that don't know how to deal with struggle and strife. We got generations of people that's growing up right now thinking that somebody owe them something. We got generations of people growing up right now think that they're entitled to whatever they want. We got generations of people growing up thinking that life was supposed to be easy. Why is it so hard? So now they're cracking. Because somehow they thought it was supposed to be easy. When I grew up, when you grew up, we already knew it's hard. Prepare for it. Well, now we got people that are not prepared for it. They didn't have nobody to prepare them. So now they think everything's supposed to be given to them. And when it's not, I ain't never heard so many people in my life as I have now saying they ready to get out of here. I ain't never in my life heard so many people that's not even, once upon a time, that would have been something you would be ashamed to tell other people, hey man, I'm thinking about checking out of here. I don't want to be here no more. Once upon a time when I grew up, you'd be ashamed to tell somebody that because we looked at that as weak. Because life hard for everybody. You just deal with that shit. You fight on. Look what our ancestors went through. And here you are, because you just lost your job, you ready to check out when our ancestors survived being on the bottom of a ship stacked up on top of each other. They didn't die, they didn't quit. And you just lost your job, you ready to end everything. I'm talking about my people. We come from people that was brought over here, stacked on slave ships like sardines, pissing and shitting on each other. And they survived. for us to be here where we at now, ready to give up because you lost your job, ready to give up because your wife left you, your husband left you, your kids acting up in school. Oh, you can't take it, you can't make it. That's what we're dealing with now. Be careful out here. People have gone insane. Let's go to work. Get it, got it good. Love y'all. Bye.